For even no maso podile. Yeah. And a grand bakufuna upodile. Ngoba naso upodile ama-stem wakhe ayanyuka and awusaphila ukuthi uzolobe uzocomplaina. Like yini abacabi next ngalento esiyenza la.
That McDonald's deal when it came through, because it was the first of its kind, we didn't know also, me and my manager, how to value that. Right? So it's an opportunity playing the World Cup, you're the face of South Africa. So we're actually going to give you this X amount of money. But if I knew better now, yeah, I would have charged them.
Of me being the only person that's chosen. But if you made sense would be, this is the journey of what I really want to be, a soccer superstar. And my peers, maybe they don't share the same sentiment, but they can all play. But they probably don't share the same sentiment.
Like, dude, we're doing what we're doing because of you guys. You know what? Like, you know, Batipela, that's the channel, that was the first time they started seeing music television, but in the content they like Africa. And who were the first people then? It's kind of some YFM. You know, I was like,
Welcome to the Barber's Chair, brought to you by the Podcast and Chill Gents in partnership. Network. It's bigger than the Gents. You know, brought to you, you already know, I got a DJ here, literally MC, public speaker, knows the cue cards before he even gets on stage. So already he's taken my job. You know, we've got in collaboration with Legends Barber, so I'll always think of the sponsor.
Sure. You're the businessman.
And I got my guest today. I got DJ SBU on my right-hand side. I got the legendary TEKO MODISE, you know, sure. And you might have thought that the TK in TKZ, the most mischievous was the T and the K, but ZWAI BALA is in the invisible chair. He'll be joining us soon. So welcome to the podcast. We're going to be talking about everything, bring in legends. At times, we'll also bring in somebody young, and we talking about everything about life, everything about how to get to this point of life, which when we talk about the fact that you become a legend, we really talk about the fact that you've put in your own 10,000 hours plus. It means that you have lost things. It means you have won things. You have more losses than wins, not only wins, right? Because you don't become legendary because you keep winning. This is the real conversations about the people that have had multiple losses but are still standing, and they also have many wins that you also know about. So before we get in, let's start to where we start from and get back into the ground. Sbuda.
Hola.
We all know Tembisa's where you're from. A little bit of background, you know, on your days, usathola internship at Eskom, you know. Just tell us about, like, you know, where this dream of, like, literally you're studying to be an engineer, but there's this media dream that literally, that keeps on coming through. Where does this start from?
Thank you, bro. Me, it starts from Ekaslami, you know, ukwarana, kuloma namajenzi koneni, conversations, you know, bona makhurutmana qoga grand, makhurutmana vangi karizi grand ekasi, ukufuna ukufana nabo, you know, wanting to look like them, wanting to be like them one day. Some of them are criminals, some of them work, some of them, you know what I mean? So these are different people that sort of you are impressed by as a kid, and you sort of just, you know, ufuna ukuba grand. Although I didn't know what I want to become, but when I there used to be a guy called Skoko Petro, Usta, very light in complexion. So guy man that time, so guy time I know. Skoko Petro used to go to a Pitor at a place called a Pet 4. He used to go to record, but I via a cassette pie, because I buy a man 90 or Kumula Matili.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now used to go to Esoshanguve, Pitori, Nilo record music, Neritsbita Snar. Snar basically be scoop.
Yeah.
And then he used to be the guy with all the brand new music when it comes to the hood. So yeah, I always just wanted to play the music that he plays because we always just gather around him and just listen to the music.
Yeah.
But I didn't know like what I really wanted to become.
Yeah.
I just knew that I loved music. That's basically the genesis of it for me.
All right, so basically, just for context, for wonke umuntu obukelayo, I mean, today, umuntu mawukhuluma ngokuthi music bosithenga kanjani, bengitshela ezinye intwana ukuthi no, besiyothenga isingele one. A music for 30 rand, and they asked me to explain that. So I'm going to just explain that. The cassette, literally, think of your playlist on your streaming platform. A cassette literally is one playlist that's got side A and side B that literally plays for 90 minutes. So think of that. So Tina, we literally had to have multiple playlists called, sometimes it will be a full album, right? Teko. For you, you've had such an incredible career. You are probably, I think even in my generation, we grew up knowing about Dr. Khumalo, but they were the senior guys for us, you know? I think that like you were a guy who was our age, you know, who just started creating these strides in soccer that we had never seen before in South African soccer as an individual. Tell me, what was your plan? You know, I mean, you know, everybody has this is my North Star, but I don't think what happened with your life was your North Star completely.
Yeah. But the thing is, with me, is I've always wanted to be a professional footballer.
Yeah.
But in Kingwood, like, I didn't have many opportunities that were created or that were in front of me for me to use those. So as a kid, like I was very shy and an introvert to a point where other guys are going for trials. I'll go with them and trial, but my logo ba fail and me progressing, I'll end up lying and saying fail because I was so shy going there alone. So that was the problem. I think I should have, if maybe I was a brave kid, I could have maybe played professionally at an early age. But also, Tabona.
I thought push the podcast, we don't have to
Exactly.
Apologies, guys. Apologies.
Okay, cool. So then, with me, like normal scale, like I used to practice autographs.
Right.
Yeah. Like I'll practice them. I was so obsessed with football. I'll read every article about football because I wanted to play the game, right? And just like Usbu, was influenced by everybody else in the hood. Like guys that were dressing nice cars and all that stuff. But I knew with this scale, I mean, it's not going to do anything for me. Because I could see all the intelligent kids, they end up chilling at Kone. Once they're done, there's no varsity, there's nothing like that. So they all chill in the corner. And me, my background was because I never grew up in Ladlin. I grew up with different families because of football. And I knew with those families that are helping me, they'll never be able to give me Malugeskela to continue with school. So I knew with it, my survival, my way out of the hood was football. And yeah, man, I think that's where the obsession started, and also like picking from Amachita that were playing at the time. I think I used to watch, like you said, I used to watch about Doctor, the Tso Villa guys and all those stuff. So I just knew that I was that good, but I didn't have opportunities because I was too shy. Yeah. And when it came, and I grabbed it with both hands.
Tell me about like the idea of just, and I think everybody needs to hear this, you know, just developing self-confidence. You know, you say that maybe you would have been there earlier.
Yeah.
What is the peer pressure of trying to be like everybody else when you actually know you're actually extraordinary?
Yeah. The thing is, like, I think because of my background, here's my background, right? So my siblings, I've got a brother and a sister, they grew up in the same household. And right? And my mom was somewhere. So I got exposed to so many stepdads, right? So I didn't have any stability whatsoever. So we move. Sometimes Mama Shogan alone, and I'm like, next week we're on the next street. So I never really got an opportunity to make too many friends, to be even confident enough myself, because I always knew there's always issues in Lane. So there was no encouragement whatsoever. So the only thing that will help me out in dealing with whatever that was happening was through football. So name Padlezinja or something that was new, I never really got one. So Amachita election will give you a patch. And then Masu Kalangati Papa, Tunga called it a patch. So you will never really have some sort of confidence whatsoever. So, and because everywhere Laban like a Deep Kloof, because I was born in Midlands, but I grew up in Deep Kloof and Orlando because of how my mom moved. So when I said Deep Kloof, everybody knew my story. So there was no way which I can be that confident because everybody knows, dude, you're not from here. Maluleka family, you're not even a Maluleka, you're a MODISE family. And those are Tsonga people. So everybody knew. So there was no situation that allowed me to have some sort of confidence. The only time that I had confidence was on the pitch. Then nobody can touch me then.
It feels like there was almost like a psychological, you know, even if like it was short term with like the guys that you were around, who you were going to trials with, even if it was a short-term stability, it feels like you were holding on to that even if you had an opportunity to leave them for yourself, it felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going to destabilize myself because just by me progressing, your opportunities look it's almost like psychologically it felt like they were destabilizing you because already you're stable with these guys when you're moving around. Now you're about to grow up in your career and you could be destabilized, and that could have been maybe a psychological thing also, you know?
Yeah, it was because I remember we were from Deep Kloof to trial, I think it's in Tembisa, where School of Excellence was. I think it's Moederfontein.
Yeah.
So we used to use a train to go there. So we wake up very, very early in the morning because the trial started at 9. So we'll be like in trains around 5, around those times. But the number gets reduced every day, right? So I end up being one that I have to wake up at 4 or 5 to be at the train station to catch that train to go to Kaalfontein. And that was just torturing for me. So I couldn't see myself one because I always wanted to feel like we can all succeed. That's been song. So when they were not selected and I was always the one that gets selected, that I had fear of maybe making it too early or maybe leaving them behind because I felt a little bit of comfort because those are my friends. Those are the people that are spending so much time now. So the fear of just moving out of the hood, because I was still young at the time. I think I was 15, 14 at the time. So just the fear of just moving out. As much as I loved the game, I knew that I had potential to move on. But once it's here, I didn't know what to do with it. And also like with the family that I was staying with, that guy wanted to cash in. So began pusher like that go to those trials. He wanted to make money off me. Go to my trial now. Whenever I said I failed, he couldn't believe it. He didn't understand. So then so he ended up like it's mentally challenging. Okay, these are my friends. These are the people that I'm comfortable with. Mostly when watching other guys trial, these are the people that I chill with on the corner, and start comparing ourselves to the guys that we see. But seeing myself in Klelingi one and then waiting for my name to be called, I was scared of that. So I think that's why I stopped going for trials because of that.
Spoon, you've been with a lot of, your come up, you're on radio, you were never on radio on your own. You always saw other people's greatness, right? How do you relate to Amajita that you've also tried to, you had the Vandal t-shirts, it's just so much that you've done, and you were very blatant with reaching out to Amajita and putting them in places or spaces that they wouldn't generally put them in, right? From what TEKO is saying, how familiar are you with guys that you go, they're outlaney blind, but the guys are always scared? I think it's a hood story with Amajita. Don't grow, and they've got the greatest talent, but they don't grow because laba zoyakhona izoyenza ukuthi shiye lento abayaziyo, no matter how toxic it is. Have you, in your journey with Amajita logo wakubukisa, how many instances of that have you really gone through where if le outing has born awuthi blind kanjani?
Geez, that's I guess we can all relate. Before I answer a long question, now we have to respect the Grootman Sefigin. Grootman Sefigin.
Oh, you say?
No problem. Sure. You've earned your stripes.
No,
you've earned your stripes.
I would have done this in 96 or 95, but because now he's in reality shows, he's like, shooting confession. So I came in and they'd already started shooting. I wonder what this. You're gonna do the confession and the reality, you know? Thanks for joining us. ZWAI, BALA, legendary. On the keys, I heard that like when you were like 8 or 9 or 10 or something, you were literally teaching older people how to sing notes in choirs. I mean, what the hell? I'm just saying, I bumped into this by mistake, like too. I was like, I should have gave him more respect the last time I saw him. but thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're just talking about just like, you know, the beginning, the starts, you know, and SBU was just about to tell us about something that TEKO was just you know, from his background, there was almost like a psychological kind of barrier for him to actually progress faster than he could have because he was from a destabilized kind of household where already he wasn't embraced fully. So whenever he had the opportunity to grow, it meant that he had to almost like psychologically be like a place where they would leave the guys that he embraces also. So he basically couldn't grow earlier than he could have because he was always the one qualifying to progress, but he would just had that fear to leave that stability, that temporary stability of friends that he had, you know? So, I mean, obviously, SBU, we know from everything he's done on radio, SBU has never done anything without a MacG. So, you know, and what I wanted to highlight from SBU is that how many times has he seen that situation where he sees guys and he goes, if these guys could stop looking at me and look at themselves, this is how great they are. But MacG are always scared to leave what they know. And unfortunately, people don't, you know, there's this whole thing about psychology where they go, it's a toxic environment, but sometimes a toxic environment is a comfortable environment for people if you don't know any better, you know? So
we all go through it. I mean, you even see it with musical bands, you know, where you are so great, all of you guys have got this potential, but then sebafuna ukusayina manje mara bafuna le i1, you know, mara le ineprazayo type of thing, you know. But for me also, when I was young, I never was le blind, you know, but I was always le espanayo, you know. I guess I always say the hustle will always beat talent when the talent doesn't hustle, because other people are so talented. It comes easy for them. They don't even realize how dope they are because it comes easy. Now, I remember there was a time, now speaking about guys I used to work with on radio, Soli Vista. Shout out to Soli Vista. He does a show on Josie FM. Yeah, he's on Josie FM, Soweto. He just got his own show. I'm so proud of him, you know. But I remember back then, when we were still at Y, I used to say, go Vista, shaya ma show. Ngiyazi siyakorana la radio. Mara kren when we comedian. Shaya ma show ube comedian ube ata mina ngising comedian nyalanzana. Ngithi yes shaya ma show asingaqala nasekhaya uqolisa amaholo ube ushayele staff eshaya ama comedian marulanza abantu, you know. Anyway, to cut the long story short, we see Skumba doing it now. Yeah. Right? Oh man. And he's killing it. He's proud of Skumba. Yeah. Skumba also came out from the same community radio station.
He's also from Tembisa, ne?
Yeah, Skumba's from Tembisa.
Sandukwarana, ne?
Yeah.
Marikhona enye Joana yodawo yayingilahisa kanjani.
Uskova. And that's an interesting one because sometimes, even at 2000, I just, you know, got a new radio gig. So I can bring my people, but no. We already have a team.
We have enough fire.
We have enough fire, right? Because you want to bring your team, but it's also a normal thing where People, even in government, people want to come in with their people. I mean, I've always been like that, Nami. You want to come with people. But also there's a point where some others, you want to bring them along because you can see potential in them. And them, they take it so lightly. They're so, begins example of Vista. They're so good at it that the amount of pace and energy I've always had in my career. I'm a mover and I make things happen. And as I say, my hard work trumps my talents. I don't think I'm the most talented person, but I'm such a hard worker that if you just get my 1 foot in, I'm able to get myself through. I always say, because I know what I'll find my way through. But then you find that everybody else, they're doper than you, but they don't have that drive. Because I cannot believe my guys, a lot of my guys, even besides the YFM, could even guys I started out with Ekasi, they could have been further than where they are. But I just kind of feel I'm a chance. I don't know what it is. You know, you either sometimes outgrow each other. Sometimes guys are so good at it that they're just natural at it, and maybe they don't have the drive. Maybe I don't know what it is. But in stories of guys that come from humble beginnings, you always find those cases. And on a platform like this, I just want to celebrate and embrace my guys. It's it's never a platform where I want to speak as if I was better than anyone. Actually, they were doper than me. They were better than me. They were funnier than me. They were greater than me, even on radio, even with music, right? But because if you're a hard worker, you'll always do better than people who are even talented, just because you put in the extra mile, you put in the hard work, etc. That's what I wanted to say.
I mean, look, I guess it also comes down to, I always say that, like, if we were standing on gold 300-400 years ago, how were we going to know? You know, how are we going to value the ground that we work on and put a dollar value to it? And I think a lot of us are really gifted, but it's hard for us to put a price on our gift. It's hard for us to go, hey, I should be paid like this, or, you know, I should be treated like this because of this talent, you know? So a lot of Black people, in my view, what we really have a conflict and a tension with is corporatizing who we naturally are, is valuing who we naturally are, is literally like knowing how we should be, how they should act when they see us with who we naturally are. Because I keep saying this, if you go to all the streaming platforms, 80% of the songs that are there, that are in the top 100, literally like are not songs that were made because anybody went to any school. They're made because those kids, it's who they naturally are. And those songs literally like are the ones that are turning a couple of dollars just off streaming. So if the streaming platform doesn't create the structure, how would those kids ever create value for them to say, this is how much my music will be worth till forever? And that's the challenge that we have, you know? And ZWAI, like I was jokingly saying, I did actually see that you were conducting, you were helping choirs. You still, what age was it?
Age of 7.
7?
Yeah.
With notes, okay?
Stuff that the notes that they were struggling with.
Exactly.
They would call in this little boy, like, but I mean, I was just doing me. I didn't know it was so special because I grew up in a home full of music. So
how do you grow up unless you get signed by BMG later on, which is where you guys were signed, right? By BMG later on, and they say, here's a check, or because even when you go to Drakensberg School Choir, you're just going to a greater place that does what you were doing in your household, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So how were you able to almost like humbly accept the value of what you do as a creative?
Humbly accept the value of what I do.
And when I say humbly accept it, as in go, it's actually, I don't remember hearing a humble TKZ story, but like, let's start there. But let's just say, for you to go, when I play this chord or when I am here, this is how much I could say it's worth.
Yo, in fact, funny enough, the first time I actually did that with myself after I lived in Kenya in 2015.
That late?
Yeah, like, I mean, like you grow up in understanding. And this growing up in understanding, it's more understanding of self, okay? Before speaking and mentioning the word humble. Before to be like, no, humble, you know, like, I'm a young child. But in Kenya, TK is like Michael Jackson. You know, there are guys on Machita, Saudi Soul, Nabo Ice Prince, They were like, dude, we're doing what we're doing because of you guys. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, Batipela, Skatse Channel, oh, that was the first time they started seeing music television, but in the content there like Africa. And we were the first people then, because it's about YFM, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I started realizing just what the value was. It was like ZWAI's in town. I got the first front page of Drum Magazine, East Africa. And my PR person was like, I've been trying to get on that damn cover for like years when I arrived. So I had to start realizing what it is. But then that helps me connect better with everyone. So if I know I need to understand what they are seeing, however I feel about myself, but what they are seeing why, whether I mean I want to be humble or whatever that represents to them. So then you start thinking, sometimes there is a perception that is there based on the positioning that is there, that was created by history, whatever. But when you go and undercharge, but they're expecting, yo, I'm sure you're expensive, I'm sure I'm sure young doll. Already stand how do you match that? This is the perceived. So just listening to Yonga Lendoni Teta, you create what you want to see. Okay? But you have to see it. The fact that I'm actually talent-wise, in terms of creatively, now, okay, they're better than you because they spend more hours in front of a keyboard or whatever than you while you were busy learning the hustle. But what you are doing is making sense of what they're doing. Okay? That's what you do. You make sense of it. Like, you see it. Like, if I told anyone in 1995, no, put strings in quiet or whatever, because they'll be like, man, so I went into it, I was on my choir. But if I see it, but I need to do it, they'll see it once in me tune. You know what I'm saying? And everything is about the relationship that you have with yourself and how much you believe in yourself. Or how much you see what you are seeing. Okay? When I was 7 years old, I was seeing. When I was 10 years old, like, I want that kind of fame. And no, in fact, not that I want it, it can only be that.
Casper saw it. Sorry to come in. Casper saw it. You know that video where Euphonic says, you're not going to make that amount of money in hip-hop in South Africa, right? But Casper was like, but I'm going to be rich. I don't think it was Euphonic alone. If Casper would have bumped into me, I probably would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
But the guys came in and they changed the game. Yeah. And I think they were the first guys to charge in the upwards of 100,000 per game. Because they saw themselves as, right?
But I think that there's also, and that's why I need to mhlambe, it challenge it. It's monetary, it's self-esteem, and the key word that you use, ZWAI, makes sense. You know, it's like when I listen to TEKO, it's like it's self-esteem. The self-esteem, I couldn't make sense of me being the only person that's chosen. But if you made sense would be, this is the journey of what I really want to be, a soccer superstar. And my peers, maybe they don't share the same sentiment, but they can all play. But they probably don't share the same sentiment. Yeah. And then once you've kind of made sense in that, then there's the monetary side of it. Because the monetary side of it, it's the only problem with it is that it exists. It there's global companies that are already charging for the same skill that you have, and they've made sense of that, right? Yeah. So, but you still have to charge, but you still want to show the choir how to do it without charging them at the same time. So, we always like in sort of like that.
I think that is exactly where the issue is is that Tina, the relationship that we have with money as black people is different to the relationship that the Jews have with money or white people have with money. Okay? It's not money to... Tina, we don't see the value. It's about that money thing and that currency that we know, it being as paper, now it's whatever is that currency. Value.
So I wanna cut you, apologize for that. But I want to start from, are we making sense of our value first? Because if we can make sense of our value first, if I'm saying I'm going to go buy more fire first, and I'm going to go buy it's got nothing to do with SBU. So if we can make sense of our value, then I think all of a sudden we can comfortably say, this is the Rand value of it. So I think the vacuum that's there is that we haven't made sense of our value. Because if TEKO could have been sitting there and all his friends haven't been drafted, but he has been drafted. If TEKO goes home and he goes, he goes, the person that he's living with, the father that, or the stepfather that he's living with, is actually pushing him so he can cash out. If TEKO literally had made sense of the fact that this is how valuable I am, regardless of my instability in my family. So if we are able to literally do that, I think the next step that it creates a, when ZWAI goes, you know what, for me just to play a chord is 150,000. I don't go, no, ZWAI, that's crazy. I go, ZWAI, but how about we negotiate because negotiating and leveraging and bartering and whatever is something that's not limited to us black people only, you know? So I think it's that thing that gives us the challenge, you know?
Yeah, Mchana, you know, you know, I was traveling with BALA brothers a while ago. We were traveling with the Springboks, you know, singing at the test matches. And this one time we're in Perth and actually we're on the same flight with them back, you know. Charmaine, I'm a poko. I'm not winning games, and Ibafana is not winning games because they are less talented than I'm a poko. It goes down to a lot more than that. It comes down to who you are. You say, I want to do well, not by age. But you still need to be stable, you still need to be disciplined. It still boils down to you being a better person. The better version you are is the better. Everything else can benefit from what you do. You understand? Relationships, not just that's all that matters. And then we lose the actual essence of what drives us. You understand? It's like they're doing it for the young child, like you can't land up and then
they're doing it for the culture.
No, but also for themselves. Because like there's a lot
self-love.
There's a lot more commitment to self and being clear about, you know, dedication. And everything else falls from what is driving everything. You understand? So I don't want to just win, but I want to be fit.
So let me give the other side, right? We all, including myself, we all don't know how to value ourselves because we don't know how important we are. Because TEKO, you could be good, but like, self-esteem drops, you know what I mean? Sbuda, you know, you're on YFM, you know, nabo fake joke, nabo kabzela, but hey, my voice, you understand? You know, ZWAI, you know, I wouldn't know what part of the challenges that you went through. But
trust me, throughout high school, it's still in Namachita. I mean, I was always on second-hand clothing. That's what I was rich because I was at St. Stephen's. They didn't know until Baya Kai. Can't you come from here? All along,
so you have these things, right? That like, which I would say like these are the things that like really like they esteem things. They really mess your esteem up. And that's why I always say the devil that you really, really don't want to go through is the one that crushes your esteem without you knowing. Is that toxic environment that you're in that you don't know. Flip it around, right? McDonald's says you're worth 2 million, right? I don't remember how much it was. But
I don't even remember, bro.
Yeah, but let me tell you one thing. Wherever we were, like almost like 16, 17 years ago, when we heard that this young guy just got 2 million, we were like, what? You know, when we found out like how much TKZ has been making, you know, just off their shows, you know, when we see SBU in the Porsche, you know, and it's tears for life, you know, flip it around. Now, it's about, now you've got a cash value, but you haven't completely discovered what really is your value. TEKO, I talked to you about this. You said the pressure that it came with. Yeah. How prepared are we then when it flips around? And why I really say this is that we got to be very careful with not doing the work to see our value. Because when it flips around, it can flip around in a way we don't see, and we could lose it as quickly because we never, not because of what we did with the money, it's because of what we did with ourselves when we never had it, or who we thought we are when we never had it. So flip it around, TEKO. You said that the pressure, what are some of the things that happened when that deal happened for you? Besides the fact that now you've reached your dream, you think that being a professional soccer player was the dream. Now you're like, what? And McDonald's is pretty new. It's a whole, so it's even like the idea of the company that McDonald's is at the time in South Africa, it's World Cup. And you're one of the few guys. I think Nike also like was messing with you, and you were wearing like a boot that like only you, Cristiano Ronaldo, a couple of people were wearing. Not everybody was wearing. Yeah. All this is happening. It flips around. What is the pressure from there?
Because the first thing is like that McDonald's deal when it came through, because it was the first of its kind, we didn't know also, me and my manager, how to value that, right? So it's an opportunity, playing in the World Cup, you're the face of South Africa. So we're actually going to give you this X amount of money. But if I knew better now, I would have charged a little more, right? Yeah. But then what comes with that is now you have to, because you're signing on a dotted line without understanding the context of the contract. You understand that you're going to be in Billboard, but there's more to it. So which means now you're going to spend more time doing those than at training, because then you've signed obligations. And so you have to do all these ads, you have to do all these road shows, you have to be visible for them, all right? And what comes with that is now that you're out there publicly, with everybody that was around you growing up, now they want to come and take. Because they've given you something somewhere so cool that they're giving you something. So they want to come back and take. So your uncles that you've never seen for 15, 20 years, my dad I've never seen for 29 years want to come up. You know, everybody wants to come and take because now they see the value in you that you don't see. Because once you're in the Billboard, they're thinking that's 10 bar. Right? So they're like, he's got 10 million. So, mchana wow. Hey, mchana, hey, amanzangene endlini, hey, this. So everybody wants to come and take. Because now I never grew up surrounded by love. I'm thinking everybody that comes back into my life, they coming with love. And they're there to take. So now nyaba welcome and I'm bonkozano because I want to belong. Right? It comes back to what I said earlier on, which is, I'm scared to continue with my trials because I want to belong to this group. Yeah. I don't want to be different. But I've always been different, but I didn't like it because it felt uncomfortable to me. Right? Wow. So the pressure that comes with that is, Manji, you're the superstar, everybody knows you, everybody wants a piece of you. But also, behind that, there's no education about it. Nobody teaches you, nobody prepares you of what comes with being a superstar, what comes with being called a superstar. Because that has never been done before. Manje, I'm expecting maybe the guys that have done it before me to, maybe let's have coffee, hey, chana pega. This comes with this, be aware of this, nobody. So I learn as I go. And everybody in South Africa at the time, from a football perspective, they learn as they go now. So we don't really know what to do with this thing. So the pressure that comes with, people think that you've got money. People think that you're actually making money every day. But also the thing is, Nati, from a football side, Sisana isn't based on an empty stomach. So we really, really don't know our value because if this is here now, tomorrow it's going to be gone. So I might as well sign now and deal with the consequences later. Right? So if we have known better, if let's say McDonald's is giving me 2 bar, I'd rather have a franchise than a 2 bar.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I'm saying that we didn't sign the deal better because we signed it based on, this is an opportunity that might go for somebody else. But there was nobody else to go to. Sure. But at the time, we're thinking, but there was no other person to go to. I was the guy, but I didn't understand the value.
I understood it when I saw, I think it was just after World Cup, I did a campaign with, JNB. I think, guys, when you get a chance, just Google JNB Made Different campaign. It was called Made Different. Whatever Sabachaja I know, with my team. And then 12 months contract, billboards, TV ad, similar stuff, you know. A year later, almost towards the end of that contract, for some reason, I got privy to the numbers behind the scenes of what they were making and what they were shifting. Obviously, it's not solely because of me. I mean, JNB is a big brand, right? But Nangbona, that signature bottle that numbers, that's when we pitched to them. I think Puffy just started with his Cyril campaigns. So that's when the Mofire idea, I wouldn't say it sort of came, but that's when one was privy to go and explore something of their own. Because Zatina's picture, they told us to go go jump, right? And then that's when the idea came. Good, no, man.
Yeah. You know what? In the associate now. I come back from Kenya. I'm like, hey, man, there's some competition putting together, say singing, don't be one of the judges. Okay. But then our Bantul Butabaga Peachy, they want to know your figure. Like, hey, how much do you charge? I'm like, hey, yeah, budget, hey, it's not what, always the case.
Yeah.
Say, for argument's sake, I say, okay, because no so many episodes, 110,000, but like actually if you break it down to the 13 episodes, it's actually nothing. Yeah. But then, by apho bazofumana khona le mali, bafika pha bathi ZWAI is on board. ZWAI! Wow, what are million? And then it happened. Layer 50,000 or whatever. Yeah. But actually, your value unlocked those millions and then
Exactly. Do we feel that also we have an unfair advantage because we actually not being, like now you're saying that when you saw, there's almost like, there should be like a law that allows us to see like the power of culture. No, I'm just saying because let's be, if we were going to be political and say it's one thing for you to know the value of everything else, the sound guy, and you know what it's gonna do. The output is that it's gonna do this. If I use TEKO on a billboard, the output is gonna do this. If we know that value, shouldn't we get more kind of like open conversations, particularly with the brands that benefit the most? And I think it should be a political thing where they actually like open the books and say the value of what bringing a South African soccer player like TEKO or a DJ presenter like SBU. If you're a global brand, this is what it can drive for you. So essentially, this is what it means these guys need to get. So I think there is almost like a political accountability and responsibility for arts.
Politics has to jump in. In Congress in the US, they were grilling the Spotify CEO. Based on your data, you're basically saying...
I saw that. Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Basically saying that an up-and-coming artist makes an average of about $12 a month out of having their music on your platform. That's based on your data. So we have to change that because you can't tell how much money your music is, as much as you can't tell how much, the things that you're doing, how much data it's showing. Vodacom, whatever telecommunications company tells you, your data is now finished. How? Must I just recharge this thing? But there isn't a way to calculate. It's the same with streaming, but the American politicians are now in Congress grilling these DSPs to say, pay these artists more, and we need that in South Africa.
The reason I say it's political, because I don't believe the system is for that. The system is not about empowering us in understanding things so we can grow now. Otherwise, things would be there, would not be saying, there's a problem here, What is it that we have to on our own? Sasha, I think a text bill, Tina sing about Tenike, it takes by us. But Basha is basing a yaz, Leon.
And then Mabana takes you patala go parent peg OPC. Like respect for SARS.
So younger and even the kind of education we get would be talking towards the kind of South Africa they want to see, whoever the decision makers are. So the way isn't doesn't is because it was on purpose as far as I'm concerned.
Do you think that then, and like, look, this is the thing that I also don't like having, I don't like workshops of talking, you know? Then is it pointless for us to say, I know who I am and I know my value, right? So because I know who I am and I know my value, I think that this is how I should be valued. Or at least when any global company or any other company wants to work with someone in the creatives way, you're going to have them as a billboard, create a system that basically like shows what your return or your profit is going to be. And on those bases, literally like offer the talent that. You know, because if you could literally create a system to create fair wages, you know, for employment, et cetera, if you can create those standard wages, shouldn't that also be done for the arts? Because like you're saying, it really needs the arts, politics to walk with us. Because the truth of the matter is that today there's another TEKO who's basically like being offered a deal, and he might feel that he might be offered even more than you, and he might go, but you know, I'm getting, but he doesn't understand that there's inflation also. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know, there's definitely like an artist, there's definitely a DJ. So I sometimes feel that like we talk in circles, but there's always one piece that's missing. Do you know what I mean?
It's
and that
a very
piece,
key piece.
That piece is the piece that's able to kind of go, okay, you used, respectfully, I'm not saying, I mean, Diageo, you know, you use SBU for JNB, you know, the McDonald's group, or whatever the case be, you use TEKO. Okay, I'll throw mine too, you know, it's like RGBC, you know, with Hennessy, you use Slick, you use Scoop, you use Show Majosi. Let's see, because you know what Hennessy says that we're one of the best performing countries, I think in the top 5, you know, when it comes to Hennessy. So what does the deal look like for the artists that literally we are partnering with, you know? And I think that's the question mark that we need to fill.
They must feel they're worth it. They're capable, they're talented enough. Somebody said to me last week, yo, Tiana Smith, and shout outs to the Olympian, who's just an amazing Olympian athlete. She's already retiring in her 20s. What is she gonna do next? And then I was like, she's sorted.
Exactly. She was running, she was doing what she was doing for fun, maybe.
Yeah, you know? Already who has foot no good. It's not like she's still going to figure it out. So I think. As you were saying.
Not on our side, Joe.
But
it's not on our side.
And
rugby, or if you look at the legends who are playing rugby on your Ngeskati Bojalangaso now are playing for the country. That time, you can imagine how far further they are.
No, they are, and it comes back to that ZWAI said that he said, the system is not built for us to grow and to be empowered. You get to, in football space, you get this thing, but that you get it annually before the season starts. Babies is signing on fee, and that's a wrong term. It's an image right.
So what?
It's an image right.
Damn.
But it's a signing on fee, so that because then when you say it's an image right, that you have got questions, ain't it?
Yeah.
So the question is like you getting your image, whatever platform that they're going to use to show your games, that platform pays your team for the images that they're going to use of you. So then you don't even know how to value those. So then let's say, for instance, the Tembazwani, or whoever the superstar is right now, but you go shop, you 60,000 a year for your signing on fee. As a young kid, you're just happy because they're giving you a lump sum once off. You know what I'm saying? But then you are every day on TV. And then those TV's platform or those streams, they making bars every day that you're on TV. But you're just only getting a portion because you don't know. So that, but then if they have to come back and show you the numbers, the business will die.
But let me ask, I don't think the business they will die. I think
because they have to pay you according to your numbers. Because the thing is, like, for instance, like if I have to be, I'm working for Supersport, right? If I'm on the truck, there's an image of me on that truck. They must pay me.
Because they can afford it, but they just not pay. So that's why I'm saying the business won't die.
But they'll only pay you what you charge. What you
ask them for. Yeah.
Exactly. So now we go in there, and the offices, maybe Sundance if we're going to sign. What's the value? We're giving you 1.2. As signing on fee after tax, we get up 750. I've never had 750 in my bank account. And then Smooth doesn't know anything about the nitty-gritty that goes within the contract itself. So now you're signing a 4-year contract that is 750, annually, that probably possibly made that is worth 4 million, right? A 4-year contract, which is a season. But that time, dude, your image is everywhere. People are making money off you. And it's still
to sell merchandise also.
Still look at Smoother is getting a cut.
Do soccer players get a piece of the soccer team's merchandise t-shirts?
No. And you know what? You know, because I'll give you another parallel.
So it's like actors as well, who acted on Generations a while ago, but maybe Generations
maybe the actors are even better, because maybe sometimes the actors get paid on the repeat. The actors are even better. It's just that the money is not as great. But
isn't that the issue? You don't get paid for repeats. You get paid just for that.
It depends, obviously, what kind of agreement.
We exploit us, but like once. We can exploit it as many times we want, wherever we want.
Yes, but no, you know what it is? Obviously, as mediums change, as an example, that's why. So let me just say, if I did a show, and I say this because I know, like, you find that, like, someone did a show on SABC, and then now you've got a medium change of a streaming platform. But your contract, if you go to it, it only says, like, probably, if your contract doesn't say, and any other platforms in the universe that might come. But if your contract is literally only for, like, traditional or television, then it moves to a streaming platform, they'll probably need to pay you for that. But that's if your contract. But what I wanted to say, I wanted to give another parallel, because, you know, I'm sorry, but, like, you know, I'm literally holding my head, because as abantu abamnyama, respectfully, you know, we in shit. Because this parallel that you are giving is a music parallel. You know what's happening? Guys are being giving deals for streaming, in advance for streaming. You're signing a deal where, like, you may be getting, like, 18%, where you're getting 18%. Now, you'll be signed for 3 years for streaming, right? They could also give you R1 million for that, for like, maybe those 3 years. Literally, that 18%...
That's your money, though.
Yeah.
That advance they're giving you is actually your money.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay it back.
But this is where I want to go with it. That 18%, basically, Ane, that 18% is what's paying back this so-called R1 million that they've given you, right? Now, if you don't literally, in 3 years, don't hit that R1 million, and you say, which a lot of artists go, you know, I'm going to go. They go, okay, no harm, but that's
bullshit.
They go, and then they tie you back in, because now you can't move on because of that, right? So you find the same parallel in music. And when they take that 18%, by the way, I'm speaking with the understanding. There's an artist that can walk away with 3 million in 2 or 3 years in streaming with 18%. The label is made ×4 of that. But they still gonna times 4 if you're 18%. I mean, if we had to really, like, be accurate, if they made 3 million, the label has made 12 million. But artists...
That's what they tell you. They've made ×20, but even ×100.
Okay, but that's not a conspiracy theory. Let's just say the numbers are right. You know? Let's just say the numbers are right. I just want to show the value of music, which is calculated. If I'm walking around with that 3 million of my 18%, right? The label has and now you can be independent and stream from 80/20. The label has probably walked around with 4 times that 18 million. When the stuff that you spit is worth, like, close to 80 million. You can't fathom that. You don't see yourself, and even your community doesn't even see that.
And the issue here is, how are these people or these setups allowed to do that? And they can just get away with screwing people over that they know. They are screwing them over on what they know they do not know. That's on its own. Isn't that like a massive effort?
It is, and Grootman's why it's at another level. Now it's worse. And why am I saying it's worse? And this message is important, even especially for the young guys. When you sign, it's no longer the type of contract that we signed, we did. They are now already preparing for the AI era, which is already here. So you're now signing up your likeness, as you were saying, when you're signing up your likeness, not only just for the world, for even Namaso Podile. And a grand bakfunu Podile. Ngobanaso Podile, Master Mwaka Nyuga, and our Sapil, who is all over the complain. Lagina, but having next, Nalentisienzala. And forget to go to Naso Podile, no go to Baktate, not even a hologram. Grand when we are perform, you must perform Not even a hologram, Leonega Tupac. AI, but let me take it to a level further.
Let me take it to a higher level.
Metaverse, boy. Metaverse, boy. Hayi nje la emhlabeni kuphela. Wena usayinile mara usayinele la emhlabeni. Wena usathi global, forget global.
Bona bakusale.
Sekukhona umunye umhlaba abawucreateile metaverse. So wena naso usayine contract scenario la, wena usayinela mhlawumbe South Africa kanti banawe Africa, banawe the rest of the world, but not only that, naku metaverse, even all the way to noma so ubhodile. So continuously exploit it or your likeness of your image. Because it's another world, right?
Yeah, I think that's why they say that like even any other future platforms literally. So essentially, no Seyaverse, no Kamaverse.
Thank you.
That's
the future.
But all I'm trying to say is that, can you believe right now? And I just said that if you go, and I you know, because I'm not close to the sports world, I can give like plus minuses of the music world. The music world turns like at least like 1.2 billion just off streaming, just alone, right? Now, you got to ask yourself questions like, if I say the top 100 is filled with kids from the hood, when amadlala lengoma leno umzali wabantwana abajivayo, uyazi ukuthi that kid oyenza lengoma ejivayo is worth the value of that. Do you know that like the kind of economy that you can create in the creator world with that kind of revenue? But because phila ngayo lento le ye talent, ngicule esontweni, yabona ngivele ngirepe, o ngishaya impahla, o yabo ngiyateka, whatever. Because it's phila ngayo, kunzima ukuthi sithi, this is how much it is.
Ungamla is very clear when you get up in the morning. But they ask, what do you do for a living? For a living? I'm in the music business. Not like, I love it for the love of it. Let's not say it too. I know it, I was like, they clear what it is and what they're expecting to make.
And that's why till today, everybody that literally maybe when you're an artist that's probably working in the music industry, even when you've stopped actively like working in the music industry, they've never maybe made a song in their lives, but they're still working in them. We're the only ones who are actually making people jumping on stage who probably are the ones that stop working in the music industry. But the guys that literally never jumped on stage keep working.
Yeah.
That's scary.
So do we keep fighting and all this, but within the system, or do we try and change things so Lesbian can actually address what is important?
As don't explain it, yeah.
I think we must bring in
because it has to go to parliament, it has to be signed into law, like what I was saying with Americans, right? Where government is forcing these DSPs to pay us better. We need to sit down with Gaten. Right.
We need to bring in Gaten, and I always said, like, he's probably be the most receptive. I always say he's the only guy who's done everything that we've all tried doing in music, so he could probably be most receptive. But second to that, you know, I do know that we call this show the Legends Show, you know, and the young people who are watching, and this might be go over their heads or they might go up, but like, there's something beautiful about age. If you live the right way, uzofika lana. You know, uzofika lana. It's either ufika lana and you're literally going, so that's what the problem is up there, so this is why I must rally behind it. Or uzofika lana and uzokhumbula ukuthi size sizikhuluma lezi zinto lezi bawucanga ukuthi siyakhuluma mara now you're going through the same struggle. That's the beautiful thing about age. The beautiful thing about age is that you are all gonna get here if you live according to God and if you live the way you're supposed to live. But which side of the coin are you gonna get? So it's very important for young kids to, in my view, to kind of always go, whether you're playing soccer, whether you're an artist, whether, meaning drawing, whether you're a rapper, yes, it's not easy when your stomach is empty. But sometimes, you know, reach out to older people who've gone through it. And not all of them are gonna listen to you. TEKO said, he said, who should I reach out to? Because all of us are like, you know, who do we reach out to? So I think that like we also need to have these counselors. I mean, SBU, I know, easily available. You know, some of us literally are easily available to speak to. And I always tell the kids, we might not have the right answer all the time, but we will give you what normally happens in our world. You might be the kid that changes everything. You know, so even if you go against us, but you're going against us from a point of, but as Khotman, I really believe in this, then go fly. But when you change it, I'll be the first to come to you to say, you know, it's never worked like this before. You actually changed the game, and we'll applaud. So I think that there also has to be a collection of young, and I'm talking young black people in sports and creatives. And you need to understand, your 1 million, 2 million doesn't mean anything. Your 1 million, 2 million, we're speaking with people here who've made a bunch of that. You know what I mean? And it doesn't, and I want to say it doesn't mean that made it, we're still making it. The point is that, like, money doesn't mean anything if there aren't a group of people, young and old. The old are literally like the network, the experience. The young are literally the speed, the acceleration. If those two worlds don't come together, being a legend doesn't mean nothing. Do you understand the only reason they're gonna celebrate, like have a Bobby Brown like show, whatever they call those people? Young people are creating those shows. It's not old people who are literally like, maybe old people are signing it off, but it's young people who are creating like the series of Bobby Brown, the Whitney Houston stories. And then we start knowing these people. It's like the acceleration of young people, but the networks, the experience, the money of older people. And if older people can literally come together in that way, and younger people go, yo, let's peep the OGs. But sometimes I see Zame song or because that's how you create the internet. That's how you create new things. But you do it in a sense of, we know that's the rule, but we understand we're breaking the rules because we're going to do something else. And as Khotman, we also co-sign you. You know what I mean? So I think that, like, it's enough that we could call gates in, but then the kids don't understand the value, because we move from value of self, value of money, but now it's value of these conversations, you know? So if we can understand the value of this conversation and how it literally like crosses over to guys who've been working in this industry for over 20 years. You've only been in the industry for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you could be hot. But you know what? There's a price to be here for another 15, 16, 17 years, and literally just on a random day, just sit here and your life does not go upside down, and you can still go and live your life. Because the truth of the matter is that all of us here, and this is my closing statement, obviously, all of us here can say that, like, we won in a multiple in our generations and friends and networks who can't comfortably sit here. Not to say that our lives are good, but who don't have the luxury to maybe just come there and go, let me go shoot this podcast, and let me just still do this for the culture. We are one in a few. Not because our peers were not smarter, it's because the system never made them, wasn't built for them to see what some of us saw also. And I just want, not because we were cleverer, it's because we could probably see some of the BS from the system, and we're still seeing it, and we're fighting it, and we're talking about it right now. So all I'm saying to you is that you are hot right now. It's 3, 4, 5 years, you're in the game. It's gonna be lonely after 20 years when you're just on your own, because you are the only one that saw through the BS, but you weren't trying to influence your friends to see it. We need a community of young creators and old creators to basically make this change. And for me, that is gonna be legendary. After that, then we just become legends and we sleep on our own saying, I'm a legend on my own. But now we gotta do shit that's legendary.
Yeah. And I think it goes a little further than just creators. Everything that makes it up, the whole ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? Really, we need a tree is a tree, yes, you want, but it needs the rain. Otherwise, it can't be fully treely. Yes, window is a tree.
And it can be treely for someone to come and hug it.
We need everybody. We need a good manager. You need young Joe, and you need even a good songwriter, because a lot of guys are like, I'm great at singing, but it's just that my songwriter. No, but you aren't required to write songs. Like to try and be everything, but understand the value in everything that you need.
It's the ecosystem.
Yeah, the ecosystem, that will help us make better sense of the space and what makes anyone achieve or get further to further than where they are.
I mean, TEKO said that like they should have probably given him a McDonald's, but the truth of the matter is that even if
Sorry,
yeah, Cyril had a plan for that McDonald's. They said to just give him enough to buy a car. But the point is that, but TEKO could have literally, because I'm saying, you know what we make money off? You look at Louis Vuitton, you look at Hermes, you look at all these families that literally have
families.
You know what we look at? These guys, you know why they become successful? It's because they'll do this thing for free if they had to. If I had to tell you how many of these guys had to get into the decision to literally put like Louis Vuitton or Hermes into the stock market so the public can... The decisions that the families had to go through, the conflict that they had to go through, because they did it because they loved it. They did it for free. So TEKO literally like should actually be the one that's like the incubator. You should be buying players from TEKO. That's like what needs to be happening, right? As an example, you know? But he has to have the resource that can train a kid anywhere in the world. That's not that TEKO was trying to like take over the McDonald's business. He was just trying to do what he loves more, even outside the field. If he, you know what I mean? So he could find more people like him and then you could buy them from him. You understand? What stops him from making that market? Who's on the way from there for that? You know? SBU was just trying to do his more fire, and here he is. You know what I mean? He's out there doing it. It is what it is. It is what it is, but like no one is going to give it to us. And it's not going to happen until we are a community, until we, like you say, until we acknowledge the ecosystem. Because when I talk about creators, you're a fan. And remember, when you're a fan, just like you're a fan of like this Nike shoe, you're a fan of that artist that you buy to, that you buy into, that you dance to. He's just there in the value chain of your interests too. He's not less important. He's there in the value. That's why when he's not doesn't have a hot song anymore, he doesn't become, just like Nike or Adidas, which is probably struggling in the market like financially, you're not buying it because you're not messing with it right now. So the priority of the consumer's interest, the consumer also has to say, I believe in this too. But the consumer has to see us saying, this is our value. And the consumer has to also go, I also think I'm important because lento leni buya so it's riding buya mamelodi. Lying buya khona nami buya ikuruleni buya thembisa riding. Into yethu riding. Yabo before siboni kota franchise nje ebuya America eqale Rick Ross. And then sonke sisimemala iningi lapha and all of a sudden you find that sesidla makota and all the time we weren't eating them. And that, the reason why Kota is only stuck in the hood, it's just self-love. You know, there are enough people who've got enough capital to literally like say, let's try a franchise of this and see where it goes.
Our wealth is right, is amongst us, it's here amongst us, just us seeing it. You know, the same way that it's been presented to us, if I'm to deal, like those things haven't always been like that. Young Dollar, those are just ways of, Young Dollar, things may change. The recording companies, I mean, the recording world is no longer what it was. But because someone else has done it. No, that's why we don't have many Steve Jobs coming out, because not thinking outside the box. See something for what it is, and then you work out how to sell it. Not like, and then, Young Dollar, we need to be innovative in our thinking. And also another thing is, it also boils down to how much we want to just take out of the world. Like always just always achieving. What are we putting back into the universe? Because that's where it's at. It's you know what I'm saying? You gain in what in, you know, what you learned or what you create for you're driven a lot by that, right? It's value systems at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? What drives, what makes them successful is really what they believe in their hearts. If you read anybody successful businessmen, you think what was the first million, they all talk about value systems.
Yo, man. It is what it is. Having TEKO, you have got any last words?
No, I'm soaking in the knowledge.
Last words, the camera is there. Last words is you're great, you're awesome, and you are more capable than you think. I did make that example earlier about the endorsement that I had. I was not happy. I made a difference by creating something of my own rather than complaining, because I could see the value behind the scenes in numbers. So I felt if I could move that much bottles or cases of that alcohol brand, it means I can move these amount of cases myself if I find the right people, which is what we did and which is what we're still growing till today. You are even better because your age is on your side. You've got these type of platforms to learn from others. If it's not us, it's others. You've got social media platforms to learn from. You've got books. You've got some of the success stories of people who have failed before, like us, who share with you guys some of our mistakes, learn from them, but just believe that you're more greater than what you think you are. And go out there to the world and go get what's yours. Don't wait and don't be told this is how much you're worth. Believe this is how much I'm worth. Casper did it. He even tells Euphonic till today, even on songs, to say Euphonic said, but I did it differently. And today, this is who I am. You could be even be bigger than Casper.
ZWAI, any last words?
Setting your value systems still make sense of your values. Yini le nto mina engiyithandayo, and what does it mean? I know what I'm doing to the community is great. In value terms, what is that? You know what I'm saying? Anything that you do, am I doing this for love? Yes, I can do it for love, but the issue is when someone else is actually, when there actually is money being made, but it's not coming to you. Young doll, the entire thing, even gigging, where are these monies coming from? Young doll, I started conducting orchestras and so on because in check almost I need to learn Excel. Young doll, ngazi ukuthi spreadsheets isingena kuphi. Because they mark up everything. Young doll, understand the business that you are in. You know, what is it that you are doing and why you're even doing it, you know, with what is the desired outcome, you know, whatever you're pouring out there.
Oh, yes.
You have to speak.
Yeah, ngiyabona manje. I'll say if you want to be good, then conform. If you want to be great, there's a lot of things that you need to do on your own. And you're going to lose a lot of friends, a lot of people along the journey. It's very lonely if you want greatness. And I see a lot of guys just want to be good. You know, I don't see anybody with an pride and ego that wants to be great. I just want to tell much that are in the sports, whatever the case may be, it's just try to be great. Because then we can speak of you or about you forever because you're being great, right? And being great actually inspires so many kids behind you, right? And I would say, Guti, it comes back to what we were talking about is the value. We don't understand at times that we are the business, right? We the people buy tickets to watch us play, not the coach, not the manager. They're watching us play. So therefore, we are the business. And I would say that we need to start carrying ourselves as business. We need to know our value. We need to do our due diligence and know exactly how much we are, how much we value. And then from Lapo, we can cancel all the nonsense that comes with, where are they now 10 years after retiring? Because most guys, we did them a mistake not understanding the value that we had. So when people come back, like, they wasted money on cars and all that. But dude, if we really get paid the way we're supposed to, that will never happen. Like, for instance, we find a 17-year-old today that it carries a big team, but he's going to still get paid a 17-year-old salary. He doesn't get paid of the responsibility that comes with carrying a big team, right? So just understand, you are the business. People actually come, buy tickets to come watch you play. They buy T-shirts, they're buying tickets, they're watching, they're buying, they're even paying all the platforms to watch the game because you are the business. Just understand that you are the business, not your manager. You are the business. Start carrying yourself as one.
Thank you. I mean, in closing, taking something from everybody, ZWAI said that, like, you come into this world and you want to take, there's something interesting, and I'll make it spiritual. You know, God gives life so man can't give life. You know, our job is to create life. Life creates the ecosystem. So if we have to do the work inside ourselves to discover that value, to understand what that life is, then any benchmark that's been created in the world is going to be broken, as Casper has said. Everything that is built in the world was built by a human being that God created, who gave life. So for every other kid that's out there that's watching, I think what's very important for you today is asking yourself, are you doing the work to understand the life that you got to give in this world? Because that's what shifts the world. And money is not the most important thing. But that is what shifts the world. And I promise you, you'll be good, because some people are going to be super rich. Some people are going to be good. Some people are going to be poor. This is life, but you got to decide, where do you want to be? We all have the choices. So my word is, go give life. God's given life. It just makes more opportunity, as we've seen for ourselves and what everybody else does here. Be legendary, and we out.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah. Now I'm actually, that's it, actually, you know?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.